Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new Apex irons from Callaway.
Busy week indeed. Major championship golf and the FedEx Cup playoffs continue. Castle Pines Golf Club is 30 miles south of Denver, Colorado, hosting its first PGA Tour event since the International in 2006. First trip for the tour to Colorado since the BMW Championship at Cherry Hills in 2014. A lot on the line. Top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings move on to the Tour Championship the following week. So let's head now to Castle Pines and welcome in Kira K. Dixon.
We've got some incredible names in the field this week, of course, as you know. Xander Schauffele and Scottie Scheffler, numbers 2 and 1, respectively, in the FedEx Cup standings. Now, for Xander Schauffele, he's the only person in the field that is within striking distance of even challenging Scottie Scheffler for that number 1 spot in the FedEx Cup standings as they head into the Tour Championship. I caught up with him earlier this week about his standings currently and also about the momentum that he got from the runner-up finish in Memphis last week.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, it's always good to, I guess, see the ball go in or see yourself hitting the right shots. And when you're shooting 63 around that property at Southwind, you know you're doing some things right. So, but again, we're shifting gears here to a completely different property that demands different shots. So, gonna try and stick to what I do, and we'll plot around and kind of feel it out after Thursday, and then move from there.
Thinking about the season holistically, I remember having a conversation with your caddy, Austin Kaiser, at the U.S. Open. We're talking about, obviously, the win at the PGA Championship, and he said, all right, that's it, time to rack them up. How has your confidence in yourself and your game changed this year with what you've been able to do?
Sounds like something Austin would say. It's definitely, I mean, it's very validating. The first one was the fashion of it, just kind of being in the hunt. I was really nervous. It was very touch and go with the lead, and then knowing I have to make that putt. It was very validating. It was a very good feeling. The Open was very different. It was something I felt like I could kind of take command of, take control, and was able to do that on the back nine. So the confidence bucket's definitely filled up, and I know it's going to help moving forward with more majors.
And moving forward, just for the next few weeks, there's one golfer out there, Scottie Scheffler, that's been very hard to beat this year, and you've done the best job of that, but better than anybody else this season. How important is the momentum from this week in terms of thinking about, okay, I want to go and catch him, compared to just focusing on your own golf game?
Yeah, I mean, I played the first 2 rounds with Scottie over there. I'm going to play my first 2 with Scottie here. Scottie, I mean, he kind of had like a sleepy T4 finish last week. No one's really. I don't read a lot of news, but he was right. I beat him by 1 shot, so that's kind of the way you clip the guy. You kind of clip him here and there by 1 or 2 shots on the week, and it sort of is what it is. So I mean, I feel like there's gonna be more names. I think once you get to Eastlake with that format, 2-shot lead on that property that has been redone now. I think it's going to be a little bit different. I don't think we can play off as much memory as we have or I've had in the past. So really going to have to just focus on myself, and there's going to be more guys to beat than just him probably.
Yeah. I know you said you wanted to focus on yourself, but you did mention that at the Olympics you got the chance to get to know him a little bit better. The same thing with Colin and with Wyndham, but what did you learn more about Scottie at the Olympics that you didn't know before?
He's him and we have a similar sense of humor, I guess. He's not afraid to pick on anyone. Everyone thinks he is a really nice guy, but at the same time, he's more than that. He can mess around. He's good in a team room. He can make people laugh, and he is a pleasure to be around. So, besides his golf game, he's a really cool dude.
Well, you heard Xander mention there what he learned from Scottie and his experience of getting to spend so much time with him at the Olympics. Well, I asked Scottie this question as well, and he said, when you think about the Ryder Cup, it's 12 guys, you are kind of segmented into different groups and pods. You don't necessarily spend as much time with everybody as you would at the Olympics when it's just 4 team members. You're in the car together, you're on the plane together, and they spend a lot of time actually talking about the sacrifices that Xander has made to become a better golfer. Scottie said that he's very impressed with with how Xander doesn't just rest on his natural talent. He's constantly pushing himself and constantly making sacrifices to get to where he is in the game. And of course, he got to spend a lot of time with Scottie's family. Scottie joked that Xander actually held his son Bennett more than Scottie did. So it just goes to show how close the two have become through their experiences of getting to play all of this team golf throughout the year. Now for Scottie, as he shifts his mindset from the Olympics into the playoffs, this is the third season in a row where he goes into the FedEx Cup playoffs in that number one spot. It's been a tight turnaround since the Olympics, and he's had to make a mindset shift.
Yeah, it was definitely a tight turnaround. I did my best to get some rest that off week, kind of get adjusted to this time zone, and then I showed up to Memphis feeling pretty rested and was able to handle the heat fairly well. I obviously wish I was a couple shots better, but Hideki had a great week last week, and he was going to be a tough man to catch.
So you mentioned that this is a familiar position for you, but a completely different season. How would you describe how different you feel in this version of being number one in the FedEx Cup standings?
Yeah, I think it's the most consistent year I've had as a pro. I've had a lot of great starts, and I've been able to get some wins out of those starts as well. And so I'm going into the FedEx Cup playoffs feeling good. It's it's anybody's game now, but I did my job and qualified for East Lake, and hopefully I'll be going in there with a lead and have a good week.
First time getting to play this golf course. What are your takeaways and impressions?
Yeah, the ball goes far here. I'm sure that's a big topic of discussion, but that's really the biggest adjustment. The rough is pretty thick this week as well, and I think the greens are really going to firm out as long as the evening rain kind of holds off. And so I think it's going to be a really good test. It should be a fun week, and you're going to have some really good control of your ball.
How much work is this going to be for Teddy figuring everything out there?
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing all the math, not me. But I think we got a good gauge for how we're going to play it, and it's going to be really challenging, especially with the wind. The wind has a tendency to swirl here as well, and so it's going to be a week where you're going to have to be patient with myself and with the golf course as well.
Victor Hovland entered the FedEx St. Jude last week outside the top 50, but with a runner-up finish. He's now 16th in the standings. Off tomorrow at 10:40 a.m. Eastern Time with Ben On. He talked to George Savarikas and Eamon Lynch on Golf Today as he prepares to defend his title.
Does it feel in any way like a title defense to you this week?
Yeah, it still does, I would say. But, as you said, we're at a completely different golf course. You're so far up, the ball's going forever, so there's a lot of things to adjust to. But it still feels good getting on property and being called the defending champ. So that's still really cool.
Victor, it was fun watching last week on site the run you made after opening with a 70 to battle all the way back to T2. And we kept saying, and I was on set with Johnson Wagner, how similar the first 2 days were to last year when you opened with a 72, second round 64. You ripped off 11 straight to win the FedEx Cup Championship. The difference from, say, Thursday morning to leaving Sunday night with your golf game, how material was that last week?
That week was that similar to last year. It kind of looks like it result-wise, but where I'm at with my swing, it was more like last year I wasn't that far off. So after I had a really good range session on Thursday after that round, I kind of got enough confidence to feel like I could play some really good golf, and I was able to turn it around really well last year. And I obviously did the same this year as well, but I still don't feel quite as confident as I did at this point last year. But I think even with that being said, I can still put good rounds together and I can still be up there and compete. And that's what I'm most excited about, that I have something that's functional enough to come out here and compete with.